Washington just felt a tremor. James Comey, the man Trump swore would pay, just flipped the script. He's not waiting to be dragged through another circus. He's going for the throat. Comey has filed a blistering motion to kill the criminal case against him, the one built by Trump-aligned prosecutors. His message? This isn't justice, it's vengeance dressed in a badge. Yeah, you heard that right. The former FBI director who once investigated Trump now says the Justice Department itself has been hijacked by Trump's old war machine. If the judge agrees, this case collapses, and the ripple could hit everything from ongoing probes to the 2026 midterms. Because if Comey proves this prosecution was political, the entire Trump-era legal architecture could crack open. And here's the kicker. That crack might not stop where you think. Let's rewind. 2017, Trump fires Comey on live television. He calls him a showboat. Washington explodes. Democrats scream obstruction. Republicans cheer draining the swamp. Then the dominoes. Mueller probe, FBI leaks, Senate hearings, endless subpoenas. Fast forward to 2025, and suddenly it's Comey in the crosshairs. He's charged with making false statements to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. The prosecution? Lindsay Halligan, a former Trump attorney turned federal special counsel. Conflict of interest? Comey's team says it's beyond that. They call it a political setup disguised as accountability.
The motion he filed this week doesn't just argue I'm innocent. It argues this entire prosecution is illegal. Halligan was never properly appointed. The Justice Department, they claim, violated its own rules just to get a Trump-friendly face on the case. And here's where it gets wild. Comey's team demands the whole indictment be tossed with prejudice, meaning it can't come back, ever. If he wins, it's a massive blow to Trump's post-presidential legal network and a devastating headline for a Republican Party that spent years branding Comey as the face of deep state corruption. The filings hit the docket Monday morning. Within hours, cable news went nuclear. Fox called it Comey's desperation play. MSNBC called it a counterattack against Trump's shadow DOJ. Social media? Chaos. Every political junkie in America suddenly had a law degree. But buried inside the legal text was something far bigger. Comey's team directly accuses the Justice Department of weaponizing its authority under Trump's influence. They even name Halligan's past work for Trump's defense, suggesting she was rewarded with a federal role to settle old scores. Trump's camp immediately fired back. A spokesperson called Comey a disgraced liar trying to rewrite history, adding that the law finally caught him. Republican lawmakers like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan cheered, calling Comey's motion proof of panic. Democrats countered with equal fury. Adam Schiff called it the first real test of whether we still have an independent DOJ.
And then came the judicial twist. Judge Michael Nachmanoff, a quiet career jurist who rarely makes headlines, announced he'd appoint a neutral reviewer to evaluate whether Halligan's appointment was even constitutional. That move alone sent shockwaves through the Capitol, because if Halligan was improperly installed, every case she touched could be thrown out. Think about that. An entire web of Trump-era legal actions collapsing overnight. And that means one thing. A new round of chaos just landed in the lap of the Biden Justice Department. Behind closed doors, senators are already running damage control. Republicans see a chance to paint Biden's DOJ as broken and biased. Democrats see a chance to prove the system can still police itself. Meanwhile, Trump is watching from Mar-a-Lago, posting late-night rants about corrupt Comey and witch hunts that never end. But the truth? If this motion sticks, it won't just clear Comey's name. It could expose how deeply Trump's circle embedded their own lawyers into federal power structures long after he left office. And that's why Washington is quietly panicking, because this is no longer about one case. It's about who still controls the machinery of justice. Within 24 hours, the story mushroomed. The White House press team dodged questions. The DOJ refused comment. But on Capitol Hill, lines were drawn in flaming red and blue. Republicans in the House Judiciary Committee demanded a new probe into Comey's past lies, warning Democrats not to whitewash deep state treason. Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee shot back that this entire indictment was a revenge mission disguised as justice.
The public reaction was just as split. Half the country saw Comey as a target of political retaliation. The other half saw him as the man who let Clinton walk and now wants another escape hatch. Cable news ratings spiked. Analysts on Fox warned that if Comey wins, every future Republican investigation dies overnight. CNN countered that if he loses, it proves Trump's grip on the Justice Department never really ended. Behind the scenes, legal experts say Comey's motion actually has teeth. Federal statutes require special counsel appointments to be authorized through specific channels. If Halligan skipped those steps, her entire authority could be invalid. And if that happens, not only does Comey's case implode, but Halligan's other Trump-aligned prosecutions could follow. That's why law clerks say this motion is being treated like a live grenade inside the federal courts. Meanwhile, Biden's team is trying to stay above the fire. Privately, they know the optics are terrible, a Democratic DOJ appearing to protect a man Trump swore to destroy. But politically, they can't ignore the symbolism either. If Comey wins, Democrats can claim vindication. If he loses, Republicans get to scream selective justice through the 2026 campaign season. And then there's the bigger nightmare. What if this fight snowballs into a constitutional battle over DOJ independence? Senate Democrats are already drafting proposals to limit political appointments and prosecutions. Republicans call it a power grab to protect Democrats from accountability. It's a feedback loop of revenge. Every side now accuses the other of weaponizing justice. And the American public? Stuck in the crossfire. Again.
But here's the part nobody's talking about. If Comey wins this motion, it doesn't just end his case. It creates a legal precedent that could boomerang into Trump's own future trials. Think about that. A Trump-appointed prosecutor being ruled illegitimate could undermine every prosecution tied to his network. And that means 2026 might not just be about who wins the ballot box. It might be about who controls the definition of justice itself. So, what happens if Comey actually wins? To understand that, you've got to zoom out, because this motion isn't just a legal footnote. It's a direct hit to the power structure Trump built around the Justice Department. Here's the truth. Trump never stopped fighting the FBI. He just changed tactics. Instead of shouting about witch hunts, his allies went inside the system, slowly positioning loyalists in key roles, prosecutors and advisory seats. Lindsay Halligan was one of them, part of Trump's legal wall during the Mar-a-Lago document saga. And now, she's the face of the Comey prosecution. If the court rules that Halligan was unlawfully appointed, the decision will ripple far beyond Comey. It'll call into question every case she touched, including politically sensitive probes that still have Trump's fingerprints on them. And that's exactly why both parties are terrified. For Republicans, it risks exposing how far they tried to extend Trump's reach into the DOJ after he left office. For Democrats, it risks confirming that even under Biden, the department never truly purged that influence. The irony is brutal. Comey, the man Trump called the deep state puppet, may end up proving that the real political contamination came from Trump's own circle.
Legal scholars are already warning that this could become the next Marbury versus Madison moment, a modern fight over who gets to decide what legitimate power even means inside federal institutions. A ruling against Halligan could force Congress to rewrite parts of the special counsel statute, and that's a political time bomb waiting to explode. Because here's the dirty secret: neither party really wants an independent DOJ. They
both want a DOJ that listens, one that hits their enemies harder and their friends softer. And that's what makes Comey's motion so dangerous, not because of the charges, but because it exposes the machinery behind them. If the court says this prosecution was political, it opens the door for everyone, Trump included, to make the same argument in their own trials. Trump's team is already preparing that talking point. See, they'll say, if Comey can claim political bias, so can we. And in that moment, truth becomes just another partisan weapon. Yeah, you can feel it. The system eating itself from the inside. Let's talk next moves. Scenario 1, Comey wins outright. Judge Nachmanoff rules Halligan's appointment invalid. The case collapses. The headlines write themselves. Comey vindicated. Democrats celebrate. Republicans rage. Trump calls it the greatest injustice since his own impeachments. Cable panels light up like fireworks, and every upcoming DOJ case linked to Halligan gets quietly re-examined. The Biden administration gets accused of interfering, even though the court, not the White House, made the call. And just like that, the DOJ becomes the biggest election issue in 2026.
Scenario 2. Comey loses but wins politically. The judge upholds the prosecution. The trial goes forward in January, but the motion itself becomes ammo. Democrats claim it proves Trump's people still hold power. Republicans use it to rally donors, saying they're protecting Comey because they fear what he'll reveal. The trial turns into a political circus, every testimony clip weaponized on social media. Scenario 3, the nuclear path. The judge delays ruling and refers the matter to the D.C. Circuit Court for constitutional clarification. Translation? Chaos. The ruling drags into campaign season. Every candidate spins it differently. Trump calls it proof that the deep state is scared. Democrats call it a test of justice itself. And the voters? They're left wondering if the law even means anything anymore. Any of these outcomes could reshape the balance of power heading into 2026. Why? Because this fight hits the same pressure points as Watergate, Iran-Contra, and Clinton's impeachment, but all at once. It's law, politics, and revenge merged into one superstorm. Think about that. A fired FBI director, a former president's attorney, and a Justice Department still haunted by both, all converging in one courtroom. That's not a trial. That's America arguing with its own reflection. And beneath all the noise, there's a darker truth. If every investigation is seen as political, then every verdict becomes meaningless. That's how republics rot, not from coups, but from disbelief. So here's the question I'll leave you with tonight. Is this accountability or revenge? Is Comey fighting for justice or just fighting back?
Because either way, one thing is certain. This case is no longer about one man. It's about whether America's justice system can ever be trusted again after years of political crossfire. The next ruling could decide that. And if it goes the way insiders whisper it might, Washington's entire balance of power could shift overnight. So stay close. Watch what happens next, because this story isn't ending, it's detonating. Like, share, subscribe, and keep your eyes on that courtroom. The next headline could rewrite the rules of power in America.